How you doing, everybody? Let's talk sports. A homecoming of sorts for the newest addition to the UH football coaching staff. Ikaika Malloe, a 1992 graduate of Kamehameha who played linebacker and defensive back at Washington, is returning to the islands to help coach up the defensive line and special teams at UH. Malloe brings with him college coaching experience at UW, Western Illinois, and UTEP. Now, after a decade and a half of life on the continent, Malloe is a Hawaii boy again.
That was a dream job of mine. One of these days I always wanted to come back home and coach for my roots, and Coach Mack has given me the opportunity to do that. But I had a hard time sleeping last night. I could hear the waves crashing against the walls, and I got up at actually 5 o'clock this morning just to sit outside on the lanai and just kind of enjoy the feeling of being back home. But you know, my whole family's from here, so my wife and I are excited to move home and just get on the bandwagon. I mean, the train's been rolling at Hawaii, so we're just excited to be a part of the program.
Malloe will work alongside Dave Aranda, another new hire, both working with the D linemen. There is one full-time vacancy remaining on Greg McMackin's coaching staff.
Ikaika Malloe calls joining UH's football staff a dream come true a lot sooner than expected. The 33-year-old is in charge of the Warriors' defensive tackles and special teams. Did you have a history with Coach McMackin? How did this kind of come about?
Actually, Coach McMackin and I met 1997 at the University of Washington when I was a younger coach then. His best friend, Tim Huntley, was a coordinator there. And that's where I got to meet him. He claimed us on cover 2 coverage, and that's where our relationship started. And funny how things go around, and now I was calling him for a job, and he gave me an opportunity to come here.
Malloe came from UTEP, where he was defensive line coach for the past 4 years. Before that, he got his first full-time coaching gig at Western Illinois. In 1992, the Kamehameha grad walked on at Washington and earned a starting job in the Huskies secondary. The Waimanalo native says he's confident in his role from what he hopes to learn and contribute. And with the new UH coaches has come a new generation on the Warriors sidelines. Malloe is actually one of the older additions at age 33. Dave Aranda, who will lead the defensive linemen, is 31. UH alums Nick Rolovich, Brian Smith, and Craig Stutzman are even younger than 30. Stutzman, a former UH receiver, will work as a graduate assistant.
You just flew back home yesterday. Where's the first place you went?
Zippy's, brother. I tell you, I was just excited. Zippy's was open 24 hours, so before I even got to the hotel, go to Zippy's, Terry beef, extra mac, chicken on the side.
He's home. I hope you're all having a pleasant evening. He arrived in town last night, and today, Ikaika Malloe was on the job. Kamehameha grad who played safety at the University of Washington, and for the last 5 years was D-line coach at UTEP, is a UH football team's new defensive tackles coach. Coach Mack makes you an offer. Was that an offer you just could not refuse?
Anytime I get a chance to come home, it's also always an offer you cannot refuse.
You chose to be a college football coach. Was the goal to come back home someday?
That was a dream job of mine. One of these days I always wanted to come back home and coach for my roots, and Coach Mack has given me the opportunity to do that.
What's the Malloe style on the field?
Pretty aggressive. I mean, I'm an enthusiastic coach. You're going to see me flying around. My goal is try to lead by example. So when we're doing teamwork, I'll try to beat my guys down the field, you know, and hopefully they'll run after me. Very vocal. You know, you hear me yelling up and down the sideline. You see me try to do a couple of chest bumps, you know, things that the kids like doing. But I mean, it's, you know, being a coach, usually they tell you that's a frustrated player. You know, so I have to live through my players now, and that's what I like doing. Just kind of act like I'm a player, but I really ain't anymore. You know?
Now, Malloe will also be a recruiter and special teams coordinator. With his hiring today, Greg McMackin needs just one more coaching vacancy to fill, and that's at running back.
Heartburn blocker.
We're here today to create a University of Hawaii Stadium corporation that would run Aloha Stadium, channeling any profits to UH athletics programs. Well, critics say it could siphon money away from stadium maintenance and repairs. KNTV's Kyoki Kerr live with that story. Kyoki?
Well, Sean, it's not a new idea. Former UH head football coach June Jones suggested this 9 years ago. Supporters say it would make it easier to build and sell corporate skyboxes at the stadium, for example, or even rename the whole thing for the right price. The state's stadium authority would dissolve, and a new UH Stadium Corporation would be created to operate, maintain, and manage the stadium and its grounds. Tony Guerrero is a First Hawaiian Bank executive and the head of the UH Athletic Booster Club, Koa Anuenue. He's proposing the idea.
Is a government model the right model to run a business? So I'm asking you guys, is that the model to run a business? And for one, I don't think so.
He told lawmakers the stadium needs the quick reflexes of private industry to succeed.
The model I'm looking at is a business model that we can retail quickly, we can make decisions quickly, we can incent people to do well.
But the Lingle administration opposes the stadium idea.
This bill may divert attention from the very pressing need to move forward with a complete repair and refurbishment of the stadium.
Rebuilding the stadium will cost about $140 million, with $12 million worth of the most critical repairs already underway. That burden concerns UH officials.
Adding this liability to the already large capital renewal and deferred maintenance burden of the university would not be economically feasible, and in fact would be a detriment to the university.
The stadium did not charge UH rent for the past 2 football seasons, saving UH $700,000. And only 13% of the stadium's revenues come from UH athletics. Most of the stadium's income, 60% of it, is generated by the swap meet. Now, 3 state House committees passed this proposal late this afternoon. It's headed next for the House Finance Committee, but several lawmakers say they have some serious reservations about the plan, and others are worried it's a giveaway to the UH and won't necessarily improve the stadium. Keoki Kerr, KITV4 Island Television.
Steph, on the surface, it looks like that would be the easiest way for the athletic program to make more money, but it's much more complicated. The Warriors call Aloha Stadium home, but the school doesn't even run the facility. Some lawmakers are trying to change that.
There's been a bright light shined upon the athletic department and the lack of sufficient facilities. So this bill was a measure to look at revenue sources that could help the athletic department.
Tuesday, a committee discusses a proposal which would transfer control of the stadium from the state to UH.
It is unusual for a university of Manoa's size and stature not to have its own stadium. So we have a stadium where it is, and we just need to maximize its potential for serving both the state and the university.
Last year, 236 events took place at the stadium. More than half were swap meets, which brought in over 60% of the $9.5 million revenue. In contrast, only 13% of the revenue came from UH athletics. Stadium officials expressed concern for their current workers and questioned if the university can maintain the facilities without letting it fall into further disrepair.
We're willing to do what's necessary to work together to find a solution that's best for all involved. Our concerns are the same as theirs, to find a way to generate revenue and at the same time not leave anyone behind.
The repair and maintenance issues around the stadium are well known, and we would just have to make sure that those are addressed and not become a liability for the university.
Now, lawmakers agreed a lot of details still need to be ironed out, but they approved the proposal, and now it heads to the House Finance Committee for further consideration. Jason Tang, K5 News.